Navigators is the new program that goes with the electronic application assistance that Stephanie Muth was just telling you about. Now that people can apply for SNAP and other benefits online, they can apply anywhere, but only if they know how to use a computer and they have one available to them. So who is out there in the community who can help them are local churches and after-school programs and food banks and all the other local institutions that people in local communities come in contact with. What's needed out in the community is lots of different places where people can go to do the application where they're likely to be anyway. A school maybe would be a good example of a place where a parent might, if they can go in and do the application, you know, that has many benefits. It also brings them into a different relationship with the school and maybe get in and be there more. So Navigators is the program that the Health and Human Service Commission has established in partnership with faith and community-based groups to train people in local organizations to help people walk through the online application system. So the point of Navigators is to spread out a role that used to be confined and seen as sort of separate from the local community and make it into something that's available to people all over the state through the institutions that are already in their community. When we think sometimes about partnership, I think it's easy to say, well, we have one entity doing that, so that's enough. It seems like a lot of times there's a big disconnect between state agencies, and they have these great programs or they have these great benefits that they could offer people in the community, and the people don't know how to get them, or they don't have somebody who they trust in their local community to help them. So sometimes, I mean, we see something like this and we might think, well, why do we need to have so many different entities pushing the same idea? But that repetition is what makes it stick.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this sounds like a really needed thing. So my question is, you're saying on here on the Navigator thing, beginning in early 2012, congregation-based, and I think that's a great idea. So has this been rolled out? Is it going?
It's in the process of rolling out right now. We're doing 3 pilot phases, and we're in so what you have there says phase 1 and phase 2, but phase 1 is actually 3 pilots that are building on each other, so we're in the second one right now. By the time those pilots are done in, I guess, a month or so, we will have about 40 of these sites. Some of them will be faith-based and some of them not, that are and some of them are the food banks that Celia talked about at the beginning, where people have been trained to be application assistants, navigators. Some of those people are paid professional people, people who work in a food bank maybe, or people who work in a clinic. Some of them are church volunteers. They're people who work in a local food pantry in a church, and they'll have gone through this same training, and they will be able to help somebody who goes into the food pantry sign up for SNAP or at least do the application. After that, it'll roll out all over the state, and anybody from a large healthcare provider to a little local congregation or daycare or whatever can be a navigator. One of the things that my organization is really trying to stress with, especially those smaller groups, is this is kind of a big deal. I mean, this hasn't been a thing that's been true in Texas before, that you, small, local, faith-based group, are really a full partner with the state in running our eligibility system. I think it's a change that is almost so simple that it's hard to see how big it is.
It's a complete paradigm shift.
It's a complete paradigm shift. That's exactly right. And the benefit of it isn't just that it spreads out the opportunity to sign up for benefits. It spreads out the understanding of who's responsible for who, and it makes us look at community in a different way, and it makes my little local church volunteer understand herself to be co-responsible with you, representative, in running a program that takes care of all the people in the state in a way that we've not had the opportunity to feel before. So I think it really, it's easy to say, well, it's a little thing that doesn't cost any money, and it's just helping a few people.
Or can I also follow up? And you kind of stated it one way, and that may be your goal. One of my goals in carrying 1965 was this, that I think there had been in our state and our country that government had become such a role player in providing for the poor, which biblically and historically had been a function of churches and nonprofits, that we had separated. I'm going to just say the same thing in a different way, but there was not a link between the two. And I just had a preacher that said to me, he said, you know, the church has abdicated its responsibility to serve those in need. And when he said this to me, it was really a profound moment about 3 or 4 years ago. And so I see it as making the churches and the nonprofits that are faith-based and others say, this really was our role. We probably can do it better than government. We could, and government could partner with you because they are in the community. They are the fabric of the community. That's how I see it.
I mean,
same thing, different.
Absolutely, and I think rather than saying one can do it better than the other, I think what I would really stress is everybody needs each other. I mean, the local food pantry is getting food from a program that includes federal support. I mean, they're getting some food from a food bank, and the food bank is getting some federal support to be there. And that little local food pantry wouldn't be able to do everything they do without state and local and federal government. And state and local and federal government sure are never going to get this into the hands of people who need it without that local community presence. That's who's actually going to provide. And most of all, when a kid needs a sandwich, a local person is the person who's going to hand it to them. So there has to be the ultimate understanding that food is a local thing. I mean, so my organization has relationships with congregations around the state, and Jeremy's and the Catholic Conference do too. And so among the statewide religious networks, we're trying to get this out as broadly as we possibly can. We're recruiting people in every congregation in the state. Thank you.
Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. When we talk about congregations, we're talking about being very inclusive, synagogues, mosques,
Absolutely.
anything that's recognized by the state as a congregation.
Absolutely, and also it's really important to point out that Navigators is not a religious program. It's available to, I think some of the school districts are interested in having, if you have the people who volunteer in the office in the local elementary school, if one of the things they know how to do is help people apply online for SNAP, that'd be a huge thing.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were being very inclusive about the whole situation.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure.